Today was the bomb. Let me start this off with prayer before I even begin. God, first and foremost, I just want to thank you for once again giving me another day, for waking us up, giving us a new reason to trust you, to believe in you, to know that your word will never return to you void. God, I pray that you cover this life, humble my spirit so it's none of me and all of you. Speak through me so that those that you bring to this life will understand that the words that are coming out of my mouth are coming directly from you and it has nothing to do with me. Give them confirmation outside of this life and just protect the life for those who this is, their heart is not like yours. Don't even let them have interest in staying. But for those who you want to hear this word, to receive this message, bring them here now while I'm on live or later. I pray that in Jesus' holy name, amen. Oh my goodness. So I left the last time that I was on live. I left off at chapter 20, 1 Samuel chapter 20. And it was so deep to me because I went to the City of Hope conference, right? And what's my City of Hope conference, and I had never like seen this pastor before except for on New Year's. I went to my friend's church on New Year's, and that was her pastor, right? And I hadn't been back to church actually since New Year's. Um, Although I watch it online, stuff like that, right? So when I go to the City of Hope conference, church conference on Friday, the pastor that I saw on the New Year's Eve was speaking, and I don't know him. He don't know me. But he was speaking out of First Samuel. So I'm like, wow, because that's the very area that we're reading right now, and so he's going on to talk about, the new levels that God is taking his children through. And he goes to explain how, Jesse had brought all them kids, but it was the least likely, it was the youngest son, David, the God ended up choosing to replace Saul. So anyway, Saul knows that David is about to replace him, and he is like determined to kill him. He's chasing after this man from city to city. When you read chapter 21 all the way to 24, Saul is chasing after David. If you read chapter 20, David escapes because they was having a big feast, and Saul's son Jonathan allowed him to leave ahead of time so that he wouldn't get killed at the feast by his father. So David is going from city to city. He's running. He's running for his life, y'all. Because Saul is crazy, and Saul is trying to catch him, destroy him. But no matter where he tried to go, no matter how in pursuit Saul was of David, Saul could never catch him. He could never catch him. And no trick that Saul tried to do against David worked. So when it comes down, it gets to a point that David hides in this cave with his men, right? And Saul, who has been chasing him around and missing him by a hair like him continually, ends up going into the same cave to use the bathroom. So he don't know that David's in that cave, right? So David sees like, oh my gosh, God didn't handed my enemy right over to me. So David could have killed Saul right then, but that wasn't what God wanted him to do, and that wasn't on his heart. So what he ended up doing was slicing a piece of Saul's robe. When Saul leaves the cave, David comes out and he confronts him, and he's like, "Listen, I could have killed you. You was right in my head, but that's not, God put in my heart, that you're not going to kill your master. But I just want to understand, why are you trying to kill me? Why are you, trying to destroy me? Like, what have I done? All that kind of stuff." And when Saul realizes that David really could have killed him, he humbles himself for the first time. And he basically, finally, not only thanks him for not trying to kill him, but then he finally acknowledges that David is going to be king. He had to finally accept the fact that he was going to be king. He finally bowed down. That's so deep to me because I know a lot of us have been going through a lot of storms, and it seemed like, the enemy has got people coming against us, trying to plot against us, trying to sabotage us, trying to do all kind of stuff, right? And we may not understand why. Why are they trying to hurt us? I didn't never did nothing to you. So why is it you don't like me? Why is it you trying to sabotage me? Why are you trying to do stuff? I ain't did nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing David was saying to Saul, like, why are you trying to kill me? Like, I ain't did nothing to you. But the thing is, when God has chosen you for an assignment, for a position, for a place, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you're going to make it to that place. It is a new season, and you have just crossed over to the new level. You just made it through the storm. You just made it through that trial and that tribulation. And if you haven't made it, you're about to make it, because God is going to give you the victory. That's his promise. Saul ended up having to bow down to David and acknowledge him that he was going to be king. After all that drama and trauma, he placed a table before Saul in the presence of David. David could have killed Saul, but he did not. He spared his life. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. So for those of you who have been hurt by people, you know that people have been trying to sabotage you, trying to hurt you, keeping doors closed purposely or whatever. You ain't got to do nothing to them. You ain't got to wish nothing bad against them. You ain't got to try to hurt them in no kind of way. Because, see, God is going to judge you for what you do. What you do is you trust God. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. You leave that to God, because can't nobody deal with a person the way God can. Can't nobody handle your enemy the way that God can. You just continue to move forward in faith and pray before every decision, before every new step you make. Pray and ask God to guide your steps, and he's going to take you right to where you need to be, right in front of those you need to be. If he got to take you through the backside, he's going to take you through the backside. If he got to take you through a window, he's going to take you through a window. But you're going to reach that vision, that goal, that dream that God put inside of you, if that is God's will for your life. And no weapon formed against you is going to prosper. And not only that, but your enemy that you see right now, you're not going to see no more, because he's going to be watching you rise. They're going to be watching you rise from afar, and they ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. That was good. I couldn't even stop reading, y'all. I started reading. I was only supposed to read chapter 1 Samuel chapter 21, but it got so good because I'm watching, David running from place to place to place. He went to one place where a priest was, and he's like, listen, he didn't tell the priest that he was running from the king. He made it seem like, his men was outside and the king had sent him. And so he asking, the priest for some bread and for a weapon. And the priest ends up not only giving him a weapon, but he gives him the sword that he used to kill the Goliath, the giant. So he's going about his way. He's still chasing. He's still running. And while he's running, God is protecting him, and he's guiding him every step of the way. Saul finds out that he went to the priest. So Saul ends up going to the priest and ends up killing the priest and his family. Okay, Saul crazy, right? He was crazy. But he still couldn't catch David. David ended up going to a city where he ended up having to save people from the Philistines. And so when Saul found out he was there, and David knew that Saul knew that he was there, David asked God, do I stay here with these people who I just helped them defeat the Philistines? And then, will they give me over to Saul? And God said, yes, they will. They will betray you. Basically, he's like, they will. There's so many people that you've helped that when it's time for them to help you, they won't. You can't find them. Or the very ones that you help will turn around and do something to sabotage you. They'll be two-faced like Saul, smiling in your face and then trying to do stuff behind your back. But it doesn't matter, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and God is going to make a way out of no way. It doesn't mean that this new season is not going to come with new challenges, with new mountains, with new situations that you got to overcome, because it will, because God is strengthening your character, and he's making you a soldier for him. However, you already know from what he did from the last season that he's going to get you through anything that's coming, and no weapon formed against you shall prosper, just like Saul never prospered against David. You're in a new season. You've crossed over. I've crossed over. I know this. So trust God in this new season, in these new positions, in these new levels, these new places, these new cities, these new churches, these new schools, these new neighborhoods or whatever it is. However God is leading you in this season, just pray first. And when you pray first, you never got to worry about being caught by the enemy. Saul never was able to catch David. God took care of it all. God got you in this new season. Just remember to be obedient to whatever he tells you to do or however he instructs you. Help those that he tells you to help. Do the things that God is telling you to do so you don't lose your spot like Saul did. That was the bomb. That was a powerful chapter. I feel good because I just came through a rough season in my life, and God brought me through 8 months. 8 months I was in a storm of my life, probably one of the fiercest storms. And now I can understand that the other previous storms wasn't nothing compared to these last 8 months, but I wouldn't have been able to handle it if I hadn't gone through the other storms. You got to go through them storms. You got to have your character built. You got to have them weapons so you'll be able to handle what's next, because what's next is always more than what you left. Each class we go through in life is always harder than the class we just left, just like school. You wouldn't have been able to handle nothing about the 5th grade if you hadn't gone through kindergarten. You wouldn't have been able to handle nothing about high school if you hadn't learned the fundamentals in 5th grade, 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? It's necessary. Your trials and tribulations that you made it through are necessary. So don't stop. Don't quit. Stand still and know that he is God. And he will carry you to the very vision, dream, and goal that he gave you. And he's going to do it in the presence of your enemies. That was powerful. Saul ended up having to bow down and say, David, you're going to be king. After all that he did to try to destroy him, to try to destroy his name, to try to hurt him, to try to keep him from getting in, it didn't work. And in the end, he had to bow down. That's how your enemies is going to have to do you. They're going to have to bow down. They're going to have to watch you rise. And they ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. In fact, they're going to end up supporting you in the end. You know how they do. They don't help you when you're down at the bottom. Everybody want to talk about you. Everybody want to talk about your trials and tribulations and what you went through and all that kind of stuff. But then once you make it, then everybody want to act like they was always there for you. God is amazing. Peace and love to you. I just had to come through with this. I had to come back and do, and I know I'm looking a hot mess, but it ain't about what I'm looking like. It's about the message. You've just crossed over into a new season. You made it through. And the fact that you woke up and you still on assignment lets you know that no weapon formed against you was able to prosper. God got your back. You're going to make it to where he said you're going to make it to. And for all those who's hating on you, don't lead them to God, because God got them. God going to deal with them. Just like God dealt with Saul. God got that. Peace and love to y'all. Have a great day.